Hello, everybody. This is Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government, coming to you live today. Yesterday we had a pretty intense session about the administrative state, and I wanted to break it up a little bit today and bring in one of my favorite people, a guy who I've just been really it's been a blessing to be able to work with for the past 6-7 years, who's been doing 7 or 8 years, who's been doing cartoons for us in Americans for Limited Government. He's now kind of like an international cartoon hero. But we do the cartoons together. We have a lot of fun with him, and he's really a great guy. And we've had him on the show before, but I want to just bring him in to say hello. This is Tony Branco, and Tony's one of those unique guys. He's a cartoonist, an old school cartoonist. An art that's kind of going away in some respects, and because newspapers no longer really exist. And so a lot of the political cartoonists have kind of gone by the wayside, but Tony's kind of blends the internet style with the old style and the pen and ink style that from the Sunday pages that we used to see on the opinion pages, and maybe still there. And he's got a massive following. If you don't know Tony, you need to know him. And given the amount of time the number of times he calls me after like 9 o'clock at night because he forgets there's time zones, I have to call him a friend because otherwise I'd have to be really mad at him. So it's so here we go. Tony Branco, welcome to this broadcast by Americans for Limited Government. Appreciate you being on.
Well, thank you for having me, Rick. You're only mad at me because your wife gets mad at you for me calling.
Well, she always knows. She always knows if it's after 10, it must be Tony. So it's that's great. It's always something important. Cartoon emergencies. It's you guys, until you've had one, you don't realize exactly what they are. Tony, just so the viewers who don't know you, tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started in cartooning. And then we're going to go and we'll talk a little bit about some of your recent cartoons and some controversial ones, at least to some people.
Yeah, be glad to. How I got started in cartooning. I started out, of course, like a lot of people do in school. When I should have been doing reading, writing, and arithmetic, I was drawing. So I scraped through somehow, and here I am today.
Okay, that's a great description, Tony. So you turned the doodling when you weren't paying attention to the teacher into insightful, poignant commentary that causes everybody to sit there and scratch their head and say, how did he say so much in 9 words? Which always amazes me. I'm going to take us to a cartoon that we've just published today, and I think you can see it here. Let me see if I can get it a little bigger. Okay, so that's as big as I'm going to get it, but we'll go and just do this for those. So Tony, we've got this cartoon. I'd love to get this other junk out of it, but I'm not succeeding at that. And it says more. I wrote 800 words on this subject, and your cartoon says more in 9 words in terms of getting to the point and kicking people in the gut than my 800 words that I wrote. And so I'm a little jealous, but I know how hard you work on these cartoons. And when you sent this to us, it was basically kind of just absolutely we changed one thing in it, but tell me, how'd you come up? How do you do this? I mean, how do you, when you heard this issue, what popped through your head in terms of how you wanted to explain it?
Well, generically, a lot of times I get my ideas from op-ed pieces. I'll read an op-ed piece and I'll condense it down. The term "a picture is worth 1,000 words" is basically what I do. Sometimes you can put an image in there, and it's one little image can say a whole lot. And a lot of times what drives me to do something is passion. I'm really upset, as you are and many Americans are, about what Biden is doing overall, and especially this is just another piece of the disaster, and shipping our petroleum oil reserves over to China. Those are there for a reason, not to give to somebody that could be a possible enemy. And so I put a lot of the things that I'm feeling in there as far as images. I try to use images more than I do words, and that.
Okay, but Tony, I get that. But the brilliance of this cartoon is taking the XL pipeline and turning it into the G pipeline. Okay, that's the brilliance of this cartoon. Okay, and so let's not belittle it in terms of the pictures. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But that's your brilliance of this whole cartoon. Taking the fact that Joe Biden made certain we wouldn't have a pipeline to America of oil from Canada, and instead effectively opened a pipeline to China using a strategic petroleum reserve. That's the brilliance of this cartoon. And so that's just, that's something, that's what made me laugh when I saw it. That's what kind of I saw it. I know if it's a great cartoon, because when I open it, I say, I'll burst out laughing, or I'll sit there and just go, oh man. And then I know it's going to really sell. So tell me, how did you do that? XL to G is just the game.
Well, every cartoon I do, I try to put a little something, a little angle in there, or a little bit of humor. You can't do it in all cartoons because there's just some subjects that just do not lend themselves to any humor whatsoever. But in this case, I was trying to make the connection between him closing down the XL pipeline and then opening up our oil to China. And of course, XL, XI, I just made that connection. I can't tell you exactly how.
It's just brilliant. Now you have some things in here that you'll have in all of your cartoons. Anybody who's familiar with the cartoons have certain characteristics. Anytime Joe Biden is pictured, there are at least three things that are shown in every time Joe Biden's pictured. Fortunately, I've gotten you to get rid of the blood on his hands, although there may be a little bit. Yep, there still is a little bit of blood on his hands. Looking at it more closely. But by and large, you've got the blood not dripping off his hands, which is my preference. But you've got the elements of the teleprompter, you've got the thought bubble, and you got the sippy cup. I mean, what do each one of those signify for anybody who can't figure it out? I think everybody can.
And there's a fly buzzing around down below there, and
there is a fly. Yes, there's always a fly.
I don't need to elaborate on why the fly is there. I think people can make up their own mind. The thought bubble is just that he's empty. He isn't really. You and I discussed this a while back that Biden is not in control of anything. He's being led and instructed. He's nothing more than a teleprompter reader. And there's other,
and not a very good one.
And yeah, absolutely. And if he goes off prompter, he's in real big trouble. So the teleprompter there is with the Obama logo on it, is to signify that he's nothing more than Obama's third term or connected to the Obama's first two terms. And then the thought bubble signifies that he's not in control. He has no thoughts. The thoughts aren't his own. The sippy cup is kind of alluding to, I hate to say it, but sort of he's older. He isn't in
senility. It's about his senility.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say that.
I'll just put it that way, and his relative lack of how he's. So the other thing I like about that most people don't notice is you always have his teeth really white, because it's one of those things somehow this guy he gets blindingly white teeth, and it's one of his characteristics. And so I always see that, and then you've got you just see, if people are pulling this tune up closely, you can just see at the bottom of his left hand that holds the sippy cup. A little bit of blood flowing down from the thing. That blood, I tell me about, why do you include blood on his?
I'll tell you why. And it's very the Afghanistan debacle disaster that made me angry. on top of everything else he's doing, attacking the energy industry, inflation, all the things that were going on, and then he just totally screws up the Afghanistan situation and costs 13 soldiers their lives, not to mention the people that were laid up and injured, and all the Afghanistanis that were hurt, injured, and killed. And the odd billions of dollars, $80 billion in military supplies, tanks, guns, helicopters, you name it, humbuggers or whatever you call them, all of that. But the blood itself signified the disaster and the 13 people that were killed.
And yes, that's exactly. So, and it actually, yeah, I fully have understood. We've discussed this long,
yeah,
kind of our ongoing conversation.
I try not to put too much in. I try not to put too much blood.
You've toned it down over time.
Yeah,
and that's great. And I just think it is important to recognize that even small little things on these cartoons have big significance. And like in anything, if you see it again and again being used, it's something where a real message is being sent over time. And so that's one of the things I think a lot of people wouldn't recognize about this tune or any of the tunes when you have Joe Biden in those tunes. Obviously the this sending strategic petroleum reserve to China is insanity. Obviously, making it so we can't import oil from Canada is insanity. And so this one, everybody ran it. It's doing really well. It's poignant. It's a great Friday tune. It's tearing it up. I wanted to go to one that maybe for some reason hasn't been as I got to go backwards. Didn't get as much play, but I think it's important. And that is this one. And let's see if I can get it so it doesn't have the old. Anyway, here's the cartoon. I'll stop messing with it. Normally Fox News picks up your cartoons, and you're part of a creators distribution network, and as a result, and Fox News subscribes to that, and they pick up your cartoons on a daily basis, and you get compensated when they pick up the cartoon. So it's a decent, it's a decent paycheck for you. But you've expressed in the past concerns that, as strange as it may seem, sometimes Fox doesn't pick up your cartoons, and it frustrates you. This is one of the ones that Fox chose not to pick up. It was something that actually was developed here. Did pretty well in terms of the number of people who liked it on Facebook and the like. Yet Fox said no to this. Do you ever find out why they say no?
No, they don't tell me. I've asked. I have contacts with certain editors over there and people that work in the digital division of the .com area of Fox, and they don't know why. They won't elaborate on why. And you know what? It wouldn't matter. I'm not going to change what I do. I'm not going to allow Fox or anybody in that, as far as a subscriber of mine, dictate what I'm going to draw or what I feel or what I think about politics. But I am happy that they use my stuff, and I really appreciate it. And I hope they continue. It's a way to get our message out there.
Yeah, it really is. The interesting thing on this cartoon is it has some elements to it that I think most people don't really. When this cartoon, actually, Robert Romano from our office, if I'm not mistaken, contacted you and say, "Hey, I think this would be a great cartoon." Mm-hmm. And following the West Virginia v. EPA case, where the administrative state really took a massive blow to their power, and the tyranny that they've been subjecting America to. And so what Robert pointed out is, he said, hey, the Virginia state flag, which I've got up here, has a tyrant with a being conquered, sig semper tyrannis, which means as always to tyrants. And this is the Virginia state flag. And so the cartoon you did was a takeoff of the Virginia state flag. Now you'll note that you put a shield over the person's face, so so they couldn't derive anything about the person except for that there was somebody with a standing over the tyrant, which was the EPA and the administrative state. So with that, I'm going back to the cartoon so people can see it. So you'll see that's the takeoff. That's what the picture is taking off. And then it's got a couple of other elements. And obviously this tree and that quote, and the words that were put into it. So tell me a little bit about essentially, this is Thomas Jefferson. You get down to it. This is Thomas Jefferson. And I'm going to just read the Tree of Liberty. This is Thomas Jefferson, his writing. People in Virginia might be familiar with him. Maybe even people in New York are familiar with him. The Tree of Liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of top patriots and tyrants. So that is from Thomas Jefferson. So, and you got the Tree of Liberty. So, if you had, I'm asking you to do something strange, but do you see any common thread in terms of the type of cartoons that they don't pick up?
I wish I could. There was a cartoon I did before that on a totally different, unrelated issue, and that was the red flag laws. That had the red flag had a Republican. It had a Democrat off to the left holding a red flag, and it had a Republican. Opposite. It had a Republican or a Democrat holding a red flag onto the right of the screen, and it had a Republican holding a white flag. And the Democrat is saying, "I'm glad that we could compromise." So I have no idea.
So that wasn't. They wouldn't pick that up.
No, but the elephant did resemble McConnell quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So he's holding the white flag, and then the Democrat is saying, "Yeah, I'm so glad we could compromise on this issue," or whatever. Paraphrasing, of course, but that's pretty much what it said.
Wow.
And they wouldn't show it. So, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Other than they
yeah. Well, and let me be clear. The FoxNews.com website carries Tony's tunes regularly. They put them up on Facebook. It gets tremendous amount of exposure for your cartoons. In fact, many of your followers probably found you because they saw it off of Fox and your continued work. And so this isn't necessarily a bash fest on Fox per se.
No.
It's merely a recognition that that you're producing cartoons, and if people wonder sometimes why there's no cartoons, new cartoons coming through, sometimes it's because the cartoons you are producing are not cartoons that they want to put onto their channel. And that's their right. It's their channel. But once again, it's as an artist, as somebody who's a creative person, it must be frustrating. But Tony, I'll admit, you send me cartoons sometimes and I just say, we're not doing that one. And it's there you go. And you'll call me at 10 o'clock at night and you'll ask me why. And we'll talk about it. I'll tell you why. Yeah. And sometimes it's just not an issue that we deal with. Sometimes it's, sometimes I don't necessarily like it, to be honest. And we'll sit there and we'll go back and forth on it. Sure. And truthfully, I think a lot of the best stuff we do when we have those kind of conversations, because we oftentimes come to a way to get to a cartoon that does work or does make sense. and you turn my ramblings into 9 words that make sense. But
we we always hammer something out. I mean, if I have a cartoon that I'm really convinced about or I'm really passionate about, and I bring it to your attention and I show you, and then you say, well, I really don't like this, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say, well, this is why I like it. What can we do to make this work? Because it's an important issue or something to me. And a lot of times we do. We come up with something that's really good. You know,
yeah,
we change a few little things, take some things away, and we have a pretty good cartoon. But I have to reiterate, that doesn't happen very often. I mean,
by and large, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. What Tony often does is he'll send us 3 or 4 drawing samples of different cartoons, and we'll sit there and take a look and say, you know, I like, and I've sent it around to the staff here, and so everybody gets it. We all weigh in and stuff, and you sit there and you say, okay, I like this one better than the other ones. And Tony will, if I pick the wrong one, Tony will then call me, and within 30 minutes of me picking the wrong one, and he'll go, well, what about this one over here? Or, oh, I've got this other one that's on the drawing board. So when I pick the wrong one, Tony goes off and tries to correct me. And we come to
or this issue is really hot. It needs to go right now.
No, I get it.
And I'm always putting you guys' interest first. I'm always, you guys have your website where you have certain issues that you're focusing on. Sometimes I feel like my job is to draw people to your site, maybe with a really hot issue that we can kind of look at some other that will draw them to some other things on the website. So
no, absolutely, and that's one of the great things about it is, we get focused on specific issues because we're trying to impact issues in Washington D.C. and Tony's job is to try to translate some of the things that are happening in real time into something that kind of galvanizes people's thinking. And it's really a blessing to be able to have that kind of interaction. And, and the truth is it's the back and forth is the fun part of this. So that's how we get to some of these things. But I just thought people would be interested to know that that even the ones that you have that are, that you have editors too, and that you're trying to deal with, and and I think that's different in terms of what a lot of people think, that this is just you going off and doing your thing. And by the way, you do your thing, but you also take into consideration, well, this client likes this or this person likes that. That's an issue they're dealing with. It's those are the kind of things that you put into consideration in terms of putting together a cartoon and suggesting a cartoon. So it's a lot more than just drawing.
Yeah, and that's why, like you said, I offer up a few different samples. They're usually just sketches, samples of things that are going on right now, things that one person may like this for whatever they're doing, and another person may like that. So it's good to have a variety of choices.
Yeah, it really is. It's extraordinary to have choices, and the choices we get are so easy and so cool that it's hard not to kind of we get an abundance of riches.
And there's been times where I've sent you 3 or 4 samples and you want 2 of them.
So, yeah, no, that's true too. And can you hold this one to Friday?
Yeah,
that's a on Tony's tunes show up on our website on Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's and so
Daily Torch.
A lot of times we'll hold off until Friday for what we're doing, and that's and so that's, yes, we'll say I love 2, I love 3, I want them all, but you say, sorry, dude, you got to choose, but you always give us the choice, and that's what's great. Somebody commented, Robert Stills said, you could sell some shirts like that. And so I'm going to just shamelessly plug something that we do here. And I'll go back to this little thing, my shameless plug. We have something called at ALG. If you go to getliberty.org, you can get to the Liberty Apparel, and we do have t-shirts, some with, I don't think we have any with Tony Tunes on them. However, we have puzzles with Tony Tunes on them, and we have art collections with Tony Tunes on them. So you can, you can click onto here and you can say, okay, I want political art. We've turned some of the Tony Tunes into political art. And so there you go. I'll just open this one up so you can see it. This is one that you did for Memorial Day, and it was just a powerful picture about what's going on. And and we're turning different cartoons into different opportunities for people to purchase them. And so, once again, shameless plug. As long as we're doing shameless plugs, and this is at getliberty.org. And just go to algmerch.com, you can find it. But as long as we're doing shameless plugs, Tony, why don't you bring up your book, your book that's available. Got a lot of fans watching here and commenting.
Yeah.
Now how do they get that book?
Well, they can go to Patriot Depot. You can get them autographed at Patriot Depot or regular without the autograph. They sell both there. Also, Amazon. So Keep America. You're actually in this book.
It's not a caricature.
No. But
so what did I write for the book, Tony? You got to read it because it gives another window behind the scenes.
I'm going to reluctantly.
Okay, you asked me to write it, and I decided as a comedy book, so I had to put a little levity into it.
Yes, you did, and I appreciate it, and it was awesome because it's so true to form here. Yeah, Tony Branco's cartoons are exactly what political humor has always been: edgy, sometimes uncomfortable, but always poignant. Great humor is supposed not to only make you laugh, but also make you think, shake your head at stupidity described, or even move you to action. Tony's unique ability to make big statements in small spaces truly brings meaning to the old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. But there's you go on to say here, which I thought was funny. As president of the Americans for Limited Government, I have been fortunate to be able to work with Tony, producing hundreds of cartoons, many which are in this book. One thing I can assure readers: Tony cannot spell a lick. In fact, it is rumored that when he was in the 8th grade, he entered an elementary school spelling bee and was eliminated in the first round when he misspelled the word cat. All kidding aside, Tony's tunes are by far the most shared content that we produce, and that is a testament to his incredible skill in capturing an outrageous situation in a single drawing, skewering the left like there's no politically correct censorship. On a personal note, Tony is genuinely a good guy who is a joy to speak with and discuss topics of the day. My wife, this is Brick saying this, my wife particularly enjoys when he forgets that he is in a different time zone and calls late at night to discuss nuance on a cartoon. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I guess it just listen. I have to say, sometimes being a little irreverent makes sense. In a book full of comics that are irreverent, it makes it a little more personable. But the fact of the matter is, what I said in there, apart from the cat and my wife, you truly do encapsulate tough issues, big issues, in a way that crystallizes them for the American public. And you do a great job in doing that. And I am just really blessed to be able to work with you, and I appreciate all that you do. And just tell people how to get your book again.
Likewise, Rick, it's a pleasure working with
Thank
you and Americans for Limited Government. How long have we been doing this? Like over 10 years?
Yeah, it's 8 to 10 years. It's been a while.
10 years,
So,
yeah.
so
They can pick.
I was a young man when we started.
Me too. Yeah, yeah.
So there you go. Keep America laughing.
And you can get that at Patriot Depot.
PatriotDepot.com.
Yeah, if you want it autographed, you'll have to get it through Patriot Depot. They also play. You can also purchase the regular ones. Also at Amazon, if you want to go through Amazon, they're there.
Very good. That is so. That's how you get it. I encourage you to go and go ahead and get one. And like I say, if you want a Tony puzzle or anything like that, go to the getliberty.org site or Americans for Limited Government's getliberty.org site, and just go to the merch store. It says ALG merch. There's a button, click there, and you'll be able to find it. A lot of other great stuff. And with that, Tony, I appreciate your time. You've been very generous with the time. I know you're very busy, and I wish you a great weekend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a great day, and hello, everyone. I was in the military, and I keep saluting with my left hand. Anyway, great.
What is that about?
I don't know.
Doing the old. I have to say, on a final note, I did some events with Bob Dole at one point, and Bob Dole, because of injury in World War II, his right hand was disabled, and so he shook hands with his left hand, and it kind of became, so anytime somebody salutes with a left hand or something, I always think, Bob Dole, and it's and so yeah, maybe it's your hidden salute to Bob Dole that you're doing with the left hand.
There you go.
Anyway,
that's our story. I'm sticking to it.
So yeah, take care, buddy, and we will just call me anytime, just not after 10. Okay.
Okay. So 9:55.
9:55, and you'll be on a timer. With that, folks, this is going to conclude our little episode of For America's for Limited Government today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you've enjoyed this little look behind the scenes and kind of a less serious look at how some of this stuff gets done. And hopefully you learn a little bit more. Tony's a brilliant guy. We're very fortunate to have him on our team. And check out his book. Go to patriotdepot.com and get his book. I think you'll really enjoy it. He really chronicles like a year's worth of stuff in one book, and it's just a joy to be able to work with him on this stuff. It's such a one of the keys to success is surround yourself with talented people and get out of the way, and that's what I try to do with Tony. So with that, Tony, thank you very much. We will be signing off, and have a great weekend, folks.